a student, I believe that under the First Amendment, people should be allowed to challenge books because the First Amendment is lets people say what they want.
Yes, that's true, but also I agree with you. People shouldn't be allowed to challenge books because the First Amendment says that you can publish, speak, and have your own opinion as a human being.
Well, I also agree that everybody should have the right of speech. So basically, I do agree. So there's different sides to this.
I do agree that you should have the freedom of speech, but sometimes like people like get offended off of books that like aren't very good reasons to like get offended by a book.
As a teacher, I feel like books shouldn't be challenged because, like, you don't have a lot to teach if that person doesn't like that book, and so you can't teach that, and you have to find something else that is not banned or challenged.
I agree with that because not everybody likes the same genre of books.
I agree because some topics in books are very good for teaching, but students or parents might not agree with what the topic is.
I agree with that because some people take offense to the words in that, and wait, I forgot what it was. Never mind.
Like, you have your own opinion. Keep it to yourself. And if you don't want your child to read that book, that's your problem. Just don't have them read the book. You don't need to have every child in the country not read the book.
I agree with that because why should every person like in the country or whatever have to pay for like what you didn't think was right on the book? Why can't they just like have their kids not read it? Why do they have to make everybody not read the book?
I agree because some parents don't want to have their children exposed to some stuff, and I'm okay with that. But I believe that some parents actually want their kids to be aware, and I think students should be aware.
I agree with you. I agree with you, and I also think that people should be allowed to challenge books, but that doesn't mean that you have to challenge books. Just because that you think something is offensive does not think that other people think it is offensive. So if you
Yeah. A lot of the books that get challenged is mostly about drugs or sex. Word. And I mean, like, if you don't want your child reading that's fine, but they're gonna learn about it anyways. It's gonna happen eventually. Is what I'm saying.
I feel that they should be taught the things that are in these books, like those topics, like abuse and so on. Not like early on, but when it is appropriate for their age group, they should be allowed to learn about this before and like help prevent stuff like that from happening.
That made me think that it's better to learn about this stuff like in home, reading books with your parents, or talking with your parents rather than learning it from friends and, I don't know, taking it the wrong way. Or, I don't know.
I agree. I agree with that because, like, people now these days, like, they take things, like, really wrong.
Yeah, I don't want my child to get used to that after reading that, and they just need to get used to it in the future with all the bad words and language in the books.
As a teacher, I believe that like we know not to like teach certain kids, like to have certain kids read certain books if like they're younger, you don't want to like have them read older books, but once they get older, they should still be able to read them.
I agree with that because children shouldn't be reading those books if the parents don't allow. But older adults should be able to read that even if it's banned.
I agree with that because I think the older you get, the more rights you get to do stuff that you want to do.
I agree, and I also think that like he said, that I wouldn't like my brothers or sisters reading inappropriate books. But as you get older, you should probably be aware of much more stuff.
That made me think a little, why would you challenge a book?
People would probably challenge a book because they would either like take things out of context, or they would find something that, or like based off religion, or they would think something is offensive to them. But I still don't think that should be a good reason, like just to challenge it, because that you're just you're taking away everybody's like will to read like some books.
I agree with that because, like, not everybody is gonna do what that one person that challenged the book wants to do.
To add to that, like, people have different beliefs, and if you are challenging because of specific beliefs that come from your religion, that's understandable, but not everyone believes in the same things you do. So you shouldn't go and ask that this one book that offends your beliefs to be banned, when that's not like everyone's beliefs. You should just, if you don't want your children reading that, then you just shouldn't let them read it. It's offensive to your beliefs.
If you think about the books that have gotten challenged for reasons that are totally outrageous, like Hop on Pop. I mean, why challenge a book? It's, yeah, you don't like the subject that the book is about, but still other people find it entertaining. I mean, like, who else loved the book Hop on Pop as a kid? I did. My favorite book.
That made me think that everybody should respect everybody's ideas, and people should be aware of everybody's ideas because they're important. You know, everybody's opinions, but that doesn't mean that you should block someone else's rights to read or something, just because you think it's wrong. I agree with that because people should read what they want to read.
I also agree because, not just because you don't like the book, you can keep it to yourself and not implement everybody else.
I agree with that because like what Jay said about like some like outrageous things of why some books get challenged, because like take Harry Potter for example. Those books like got challenged just because they had witchcraft or something in them. It's not like it's like kind of fun. It's like a fun book to read, not like something that you're meant to be taking seriously.
I agree, because books like that are shows like Hop on Pop and Harry Potter, they're not suggesting that you do things like jump on your father. They're just using that topic to, like, Hop on Pop is using that topic to like teach children. That's, as long as it's not like telling you to go and jump on your dad, I don't think it's a bad idea to like use outrageous and silly topic like that for kids to.
I think it's a good idea to use entertainment as a way to teach younger kids of manners and stuff like that.
The book, that Indian book called again? The Partner in Indian. They banned that book for sexual content and, you know, racism and stuff. And why would they ban a book for the specific reason
those situations with like sexual abuse and so on. And so if you're banning and taking away a guide for people who have to go through those circumstances, then I feel like that's being a little selfish, especially if you're someone who hasn't gone through that sort of like problem.
Yeah, and then some people would go so far as to just start burning books. I don't know what the point of that's gonna show.
To add to that, that book, I would like to read sort of books like that, you know, to be aware of other people could be going through, and it would be nice to help people like that.
I think banning is, I don't really like it because it just basically makes the book more popular, which makes no sense.
I mean, like, we have rights clearly stated on the First Amendment. We can say and do whatever we want, and that includes we can have our own opinion, as long as that doesn't get in the way of other people's opinion. Like, you have to respect other people's opinion.
And banning books doesn't really respect other people's opinion, especially if it's just your opinion trying to get a book banned just because of what you yourself